emotional sentencing just a few minutes ago. We did learn that those two sentences, the 10 years for aggravated assault and 5 years for tampering with evidence, will run concurrent. So she will just spend a total of 10 years behind bars. Damper did break down in the courtroom after this sentence was read. It was very clear to everyone. No one was expecting the judge to hand down such a stiff sentence for this. Our camera was not allowed in the courtroom to film. Since the morning of this shooting on Easter Sunday 2018, she has not spent one single night in jail on those two charges. In court, we learned that Damper, the victim, Devyn Holmes, and a third person were all playing with two unloaded guns in a parked car, and at some point, they began a Facebook Live video. The guns were then reloaded. In court, Damper's defense team maintained that she didn't know the gun she picked up was loaded. She fired that gun at the cell phone live feed and nothing happened. On the stand today, she was weeping when she said that she assumed it was still unloaded when she racked the gun and pulled the trigger, firing at Devyn's head. Her defense asked for 180 days in prison. Instead, that judge handing down the sentence that sent a shock through the courtroom. We spoke with Devyn and his family in an exclusive one-on-one interview just afterward.
It shows that human life are valuable, because if it didn't come with a verdict that good, it was like a human life is not valuable to the state of Texas, but he showed me that it is, so I'm happy about it.
You got what you deserved. You got what you deserved. I don't care how you wanted to be gangster. Now you can go be gangster for 10 years. Be all the gangster shit you want.
So tonight will be Cassandra Damper's first night in jail since this shooting, again back on April 1st, 2018.
Okay, first, before I get started with this commentary, shout out to Craig J for sending me this update, and it's a long-awaited update. And I'm gonna be completely honest, and I completely forgot about this story right here. And now that I'm seeing this, I remember when this happened, because I spoke about it 2 years ago when it actually occurred. That was a wild situation right there. But this is also why you do not play. That's why you could never ask me to play a game like Russian roulette or anything. You know, when you put one bullet in the chamber and you rotate the revolver around and hit the trigger or pull the trigger and see if a bullet will come out. I could never play a game like that. But you still shouldn't play with like a gun and everything like that as if it was just a toy. You know, you always tell your kids never to do that, but you had someone right here do this that almost lost his life. Now you see in the picture right here of the guy whose name is Devyn Holmes, and the one who shot him, her name is Cassandra Damper. And you can see in his picture right here, he has one eye shut. He ended up becoming blind in one eye. Like, I don't think I've ever seen anything like that actually happen. So basically, to give y'all a refresher what happened in that video, they were playing around with that gun that they thought was unloaded. She took the gun, pointed it towards his head, and pulled the trigger, and one bullet popped right there in the head. And if you saw the video, like the raw video, you can actually see him just like kind of like drift down into unconsciousness while blood is leaking out the side of his head. And her and the other guy was panicking so much that we saw them actually get out of the vehicle, and you didn't see them anymore, as if they fled the scene out of fear. That was probably one of the worst things that she and that other person could have done. Now, I don't know if anything came before the other person. They didn't mention anything there because he wasn't the one that pulled the trigger, but he was there. But she was the one at the end of the day who pulled the trigger, and we thought for certain that this man was going to die. But when we found out he actually lived, all we have to say is that he is extremely lucky to still be here today. And you heard him talk a little bit in there. You can tell by his speech pattern that this gunshot wound to the head definitely affected his speech pattern, but it sounds like he still has it kind of all together. I'm sure that it didn't start out that way. I'm sure he had to go through hours on top of hours of therapy just to even get to the point where he's speaking a little bit more clear. But you can tell that that bullet damaged his brain for sure, for certain. But he is one of the most luckiest people in the world, because not a lot of people can survive a gunshot wound to the head and still be able to talk where they're still making some kind of sense with their speech. But as you can see right here, he's sitting down. That's because he's now confined to a wheelchair because he can't walk anymore. The damage to his brain caused his inability to be able to walk again. So like I said, he has some brain damage. He got blinded in one eye and it lost his ability to walk. All because they felt like playing a game with that particular gun. And as for her, like the mother, I'm guessing that was the mother who said that she got what she deserved. She did get what she deserved. 10 years. And the thing is, what's shocking to me is that she didn't spend one day in jail since that happened. So that means that she's just been walking around free for the last 2 years. Almost 2 years. She's just been walking around free. But this was like I said, he's very lucky and fortunate to be alive, because many of us would have thought he would have died for sure, because a gunshot wound to the head is one of those wounds that many people don't come from. Like, there's a 99.9% chance you're going to die, and he falls into that 1% or that 0.1% of people to actually survive something like this. But yeah, she definitely got what she deserved. She gonna have 10 years. She's lucky she only got 10 years for this crime. They were actually, in my opinion, kind of lenient with her, with what happened, especially considering the state in which it happened in, which was Texas. But yeah, this is unfortunate for him, because his life, of course, since that day was never the same. And her life is definitely not going to be the same after this. Like, that's going to be a long 10 years for her. A long 10 years. But that's all I really have to say as it pertains to this. Y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments, and make sure to follow me on Twitter so you can get the notifications whenever I upload a new video. And I'll talk to you in the next one.